Hey everybody, Big Chonis here, coming to you on a Friday night, Friday the 13th, that is. Hope everybody had a good week. Very exciting week of price action across all asset classes, Bitcoin, stocks, metals, oil, just big price movements all around. And stocks closed the week quite bullishly, and now we're in the weekend here, and once again, Bitcoin is kind of the only name in the game right now. So very interesting here. I kind of wanted to start again with a very broad view here, obviously, of Bitcoin. I'm on logarithmic chart going all the way back to 2012, and the ribbon of Bitcoin price action here. It's almost unquantifiable when you think about an asset that was more or less, a dollar, let's just say, less even, and that basically goes all the way to $1,000 before having a multi-year corrective pattern where Bitcoin was in a clear bear market because it was basically putting in lower highs and lower lows, and including the consolidation time here. This was 90 weeks basically from the highs. I got to add a week here too. 93, let's call it. To let's call it the end of the consolidation of the Bitcoin bear market of 2015. We had our low here in December of 14. We had this long sideways little fake out here, another dip in August, and then that dip turned into a rip, and then off to the races Bitcoin went. And so now we kind of fast forward to modern day Bitcoin, and once again we can kind of see from the all-time high, the Bitcoin 20K, to let's just call it the end of the bear market. I think that can be proven here, which was our March lows, and you can see here that we're what do we got here? About 170 more days that did take to acquire that. So so we're saying this consolidation, basically the high to the second low, and then the high here to the second low, was a little bit longer here, and then from there we basically started our ascent. Now, what was the time frame then from where we began to break out of that second low to when we broke above our previous all-time high, which for Bitcoin at that time was this $1,300, $1,200 area here, and that was about 79, 80 weeks, basically from that break to the all-time high test, retest, we'll call that. So now we're back here, and then same deal. This is where we are here. Now we're only 33 bars into this here, and it seems like even though we're at 16.3, it seems like we're not that far off from 20K, but about 20% or so. But let's just push this farther here and see what 79 bars looks like. Just if we're kind of equal the same amount of time where we were just to test that, and that doesn't even include what happens obviously after that, right? Which was really where the real meat of the Bitcoin bull market really kicked in there. And there's our 1,300% and more importantly $17,000 move in Bitcoin in a very short amount of time. We don't even need to talk about that because we're still in this phase. We're still in that ascent basically to test the all-time highs, which are now the current top of Bitcoin. So we have a history, and frankly, very similar looking, obviously, patterns here of a very long bowl or cup, if you will, of this consolidation here. And this basically very smoothly rises, some spikes, some pullbacks along the way. And these are nice spikes and some vicious pullbacks. Same here, nice spikes and some vicious pullbacks, but overall the trend was basically higher. And then once we were able to basically get to that previous resistance, little bit of a cluster of resistance here as we kind of hovered around that 11K, and then acceleration continued into the blow off top, if you will, of 2017. So is this the future? Okay, is this the future right here that is waiting for us, out here, let's say, if we can break through our Bitcoin 20K area. So we're saying, okay, we have this information from the past. This is a fractal, if you will, of what happened before, and there are smaller ones in even when Bitcoin was under $100, let's say, that you can kind of quantify it, but it's hard to really, from a TA perspective, focus too much on this basically pre-$100 Bitcoin, because it was such a one of the most inorganic, if you will, in my sense, because there was so much limited players with limited access to it, and a quite easy way to ramp up a valuation when it was just not that easy to purchase it at the time, and that's where the price was able to find a impulse there. A lot of that obviously had to do with Silk Road and Mt. Gox and all the uses of Bitcoin in those mediums, at the time. And then that led to the bear market phase here, okay? But the blow off top and all the failures of that, and what preceded that, I should say, not the failure, but what preceded that, this time was different. We had some of the things, there were some hacks, there were some scams, of course, and of course there was the big unwinding. But this consolidation, we also had different things introduced into Bitcoin. We had, obviously futures, which basically started right at Bitcoin's 2017 top. We had, which was through CME. Then we had GBTC started to get a little more accreditation, and then we had Wall Street at least start to take more notice, and more importantly, investment into blockchain, Bitcoin projects as a whole. And the movement of capital from coins and projects to other coins and projects, trying to find, which way the market was hovering. And, along the way, Bitcoin was consolidating in an incredible range. If you think about it, I'm going to clear the board here. We went from, our 20K to 3K to 14K to 4K, which, we're talking huge thousands of dollars thumbs, obviously. Okay, we're talking huge percentage moves. Bitcoin can drop almost 80% here. Okay, and it can rise 300%, just about, right? Remember that. And then we can drop again, 72%, and then we can rise again, about 300%. Okay, so I've been, involved in Bitcoin since about, Bitcoin was around like $600. I remember, like $600 to $700, right around here. I remember was kind of the first time I actually purchased Bitcoin, and ever since then, we've been in this zone after our top here, where it's still incredible that we've been in this range and that we've had two opportunities to purchase Bitcoin, let's call it under $5,000. One was obviously a lot longer in 2019, and one was the March lows, a lot shorter time frame, but still enough time where if you wanted to put your toe into anything under $5,000 or $5,500, there was enough time to do so. So fast forward, okay, we're fast forwarding from our highs here to where we are now, and we're basically even though we've moved so much, we haven't moved that much at all. Our consolidation continues to tighten. Now, even though we are holding the higher low support here, okay? And even though currently we are hitting this higher high, or at least we've established there will be a higher high, even if we can go, higher in our price action. Not sure where this actually line ends here, but we at least we've established a higher high, at least from the wick standpoint, and obviously from the closing candle standpoint. Again, I'm still on the weekly chart here, so I'm thinking from a much wider, longer term perspective, obviously, here. So what are we achieving here? Well, we're basically saying that if we can put in a higher low in support and we put in a higher high in resistance, because there's always resistance, there's always a point where Bitcoin tops off. And the reason I say that is because we have two very recent examples. Even though I want Moon as much as everybody else does, and we might get it, there's still going to be a point where this, and it doesn't have to be the full run, and you can't even say what's this going to be like. Are we going to do just a straight parabolic move up here? I mean, yes, there were pullbacks along the way, but overall, it was quite clear what was being held as support and what was really like never violated, as support all the way up. You can argue the middle Bollinger. I have to go to linear to basically show it, but we never lost that middle Bollinger support, at all the way up. I'm sure that basically equates to 21 as well. Same thing here. Once we haven't lost the middle Bollinger more or less since 7K. So we have zones where we can quantify that we're good, that the bulls are still in control here, and that we're basically still rising, just as we had here, which could have been saved, okay, with holding that support at 10K. But that breakdown of that middle Bollinger and then the rejection on the back test here, again, was a sign that, we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet. Now that we're above it, we're basically saying, okay, maybe we are back in this spread here. And note the spread where the lower Bollinger is angling down with quite ferocity, obviously, as the volatility, the price action rises, price action rising here. Here's our down move, and this should accelerate if we are going to accelerate to that breakaway speed, which I think we kind of need to get up to this, at least testing the 20K area. So we're going to continue to watch this because our momentum of velocity needs to continue at this, pretty steep vector here. And as you can see, once it started taking off here, the next move was basically straight up, and we're kind of there. We're kind of in that straight up zone. And we did this one was a little less, but you have your last area here, okay, that was more or less the same angle. So we are in this parabolic move now once again, this spire, this channel, if you will, once again. And we have two examples. We have this one here and we have this one here, obviously, that can show us the extremes of both. One is the extreme where we ride the upper Bollinger to a great white shark's openness of space, okay, blast through it, even close outside of it to an incredible amount here. But you fast forward to the next one here, and again, similar, but the rejection on here was quite notable, as well as the candle. Now are we somewhere in between? Are we somewhere halfway up? Are we somewhere, are we still have enough juice to get here? And even if we consolidate here, would that really be the worst thing? Okay, we've clearly stated that we can blast off above major horizontal resistances that are clearly acting as support. We did have one minor back test of this area here. We can see clearly the 2017 wicks, that this zone that really runs from, let's just call it 12K to, right there. 12K to 13K, okay, wicks through, but holding support, failing, okay, and then that was the major resistance there, okay, boom, right here. So from a technical standpoint here, as long as we're over this area, we're all good. Now we could argue the same was the situation back here at 10K. Let me change the color. Okay, where not only were we hitting his resistance, broke through it, but had a tremendous back test of it. You know, that was a gorgeous back test of it right there. Let's make that purple. You know, after hitting that resistance and that resistance and that resistance. So that's a back test support blast off. Okay, I would want to see something similar on this one here. You know, if we're going to really do this, and maybe we might not get that, but even if we came all the way back here to the high 12Ks, okay, and did something like this, that would still work, and that would still be a very nice bullish move after a consolidation here. Okay, but we might not even get that. We might not even get that kind of a retracement. My point is that we have running room on the downside. Okay, and how do we know this? Well, we can look at I'll start with our 12 and 26. I use my 12 and 26 EMA. Okay, now because we've hit these as support and resistance numerous times, we've advanced above them. Okay, we've advanced way above them. We note the spread as well, how far apart they are. Okay, extreme spread, extreme spread, extreme spread. We're closer to extreme spread, but not really. You know, we're kind of more around the spread we had back here, October, November, Bitcoin of 17. Okay, we're kind of closer to the top here, but this actually was still pretty wide here too. So we're getting there, but we still, from a historical standpoint, have running room to spread these EMAs bullishly, which would mean that the price action would continue to rise and separate you know, the two of those. We can see this because of how far apart we are from the weekly exponential moving averages here. Sorry, moving averages, 5100, 200. Again, super clean chart, obviously, going all the way back here. The spaghetti lines have come dead set, and now just about, I could say, all three are angled positive. Look at that up angle, and just the slightest up angle on the MA200 here. So just you know, it's hard to find something bearish about that. Other than the fact that the price action is significantly above these, and if we can kind of coordinate where you know, historically above these they get before, you know, they come all the way back. We have an extreme, we have a lesser extreme, and this puts us more or less above this guy, but obviously lots of running room if we were kind of compare it to our last bull market. So also suggesting that there might still be room to run from a historical standpoint. But also note how the separation here came after significant sideways consolidation, okay, of these here. Now we may be very early into this, and you might, it's hard to also quantify this. The higher Bitcoin goes in price, okay, there'll be a price where hodlers are kind of say, I can't not take some off the table. I can't not take, you know, the Bitcoin that maybe I had purchased, let's say under 10K, maybe under 5K, I've just been holding for a while, and not take some off the table as we once again are closing in on 20K or 17K, or even here at 16K. At some point, that will be a downward pressure on the price, as well as miners who will basically say, we're making great money on every Bitcoin we're able to mine. Maybe it costs miners 4, 5, 6, 7 grand or so, tops maybe, to mine a Bitcoin. So they're making great money, some of them per coin, and they don't want to lose that profitability because they need that capital to then reinvest in the next generation of miners to you know, keep that profitability solid. So the higher we go, we'll get that pressure, but there's no telling what's going to happen next from a technical standpoint here. You know, we've achieved so many things in this move. Another achievement is the capture, if you will, of the 786. The 786 has been Again, an elusive goal. We're going back up the mountain here from the highs to the lows. Okay, remember we hit the 618 back in 2019, literally to the penny. Okay, the 6.5, the golden pocket right there. Okay, came all the way back, didn't establish a new lower low, so our lows of 2018 continue to hold, and we blasted through once again the 382, hovering as support and resistance. Hit the 5.5, came back, held above the 382, blasted through the 618 because we already achieved that back in 2019, and here we are in to me really is kind of that last fib zone of resistance, the 786 to the 84. And that can basically bring us just a hair under 17K on the high, and we're obviously in here in the low. So we are in the last zone that I feel could stop this run in its tracks, and force Bitcoin to consolidate. Let's say lower enough that you would have wished you had unloaded more in this area. Not to say this is it, but if we get above this, I think there's no doubt that 20K is just inevitable. And that's why I think this kind of area here, I should quantify above and close above, at least for a few candles. We don't need to have to get there instantly, but and the reason I use this as a meaningful zone is just the same reason why the 6.1 and 6.5 were so meaningful the first time they were hit here. It's because, and then again this here, the 5.5 and the 50 here on the back test, basically hitting that as that resistance up, rejection, and then being able to achieve it as support and close above it. Puts the next one in play, and then puts the next one in play. So we're here now. A fib zone killed the last run. A fib zone killed this run. The only thing that can really stop it from 20K is to get hung up in this area. And we have price history here. I mean, look at these candles. We have price history back here. Not a lot, but we got about a month, 4 or 5 weeks of candles. And there was clear resistance in the mid 16Ks, and just a hair above 17K back here in 2017. So that is price history that's valuable and that we can't ignore. And frankly, the reason Bitcoin's probably consolidating where we are currently is because of this. And I don't know. I don't expect it to blast through. Just as when we finally got back up here, it took almost 5 weeks at 12K area because there was resistance here, mega, smaller wicks here. Okay, we're back to this area now where it was resistance last time. It's supposed to be resistance this time, and that's where we are. That's where we currently are. And until we get through it, then we can clearly see we pretty much have open air up to 20K. So thinking about pullbacks, places of interest, at this point when we have weekly candles, that look like this, just straight up, every dip has been a buying opportunity. Every dip has been minor, couple $100 here. I know there was the big one at 15.5 down to 14.2, and then back up to 15, and then on there. That was a nice suck out and a nice buying opportunity, only because it was a back test of I think I have to show that in a lower time frame. Yeah, this one here. It was just a back test of right here, but it kind of front ran it a little bit too, didn't it? It got to like 14.3, yeah. So it front ran the higher low there, but that was a very nice support flip here. and which puts us to 16K. So we enter the weekend in this phase here. I'll say just one quick thing about altcoins. Obviously Ethereum has been one of the more bullish looking ones here. But the biggest thing I'm going to keep my eye on when it comes to that is going to be the Bitcoin dominance. And where the heck is this shirt? Why is this? Yeah, okay, 65. Why does it say 453? What the heck? Bitcoin dominance around 65 here. It's been holding. Okay, it's been strong. I'd be curious to see if this rises. And I think even though some alts have outperformed, I'd be shocked. I'd be curious to see how everything responds to Bitcoin price action this weekend. I think a bullish Bitcoin should probably take some of the market along with it, but a bearish Bitcoin will probably take a lot of the market down with it as well, and put enough downward pressure on it to really test some of these moves here, because we're above a lot of our near-term supports, and a little more consolidation wouldn't really hurt anybody here. I've been watching a lot of these on trading today on BingBon. This is the exchange that I like to use for some leverage trading, and what was the big winner today, it was Uni, almost at the highs, up about 30%, I think. Interesting pullback here. I was actually talking about this one with Cheds, and we were talking about this a good short here, and we're talking about let's see if there's like kind of a sweat the shorts double with a lower high, and sure enough, that's kind of what played out here. So interesting pullback there, but still the strongest one here. But we're kind of seeing Bitcoin pull back a little bit, and a lot of the advancers for the day, Litecoin especially, having a nice breakout, hitting that resistance as well. We're going to see if we're going to consolidate. But from the altcoin standpoint, Ethereum, I mean, it's so close to retesting those previous highs it had back in September, and that really is the only meaningful resistance to 500. But we are definitely putting in either a running bull flag here or a rising wedge. I think we're going to know pretty soon. And again, I think Bitcoin will run the show. I don't think you're going to see anything bullishly diverge from Bitcoin, unless, I think if 16,000 though holds through the weekend, you might be able to see some alts establish themselves for continuation, because we're really only talking about a few $100s in Bitcoin. But if we start falling below 16K, start seeing some 15.9s in the horizon there, be curious to see if that dip gets bought up again, like it did actually earlier in the day here, and that's kind of what pushed a lot of these coins back through, was the dip here at like 15.9. So if we blast down below 15.9 again, or come back here to retest it, be curious to see if buyers do step in. My name is Big Chonis. Please follow me on Twitter at Big Chonis. If you like this content, please hit thumbs up. I like doing these videos, and I plan to do a lot more soon. Take care. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. We'll talk soon.